Good morning. I'm glad you're all here. Are you excited to be here? I'm excited for you to be here. I'm excited. This is all good. I stood here a month ago, and I had a heavy topic or a serious, and everything I do, hopefully, from this spot is serious and real. But I wanted to go a little bit lighter today, and so I'm going to be talking about a very fun, hopefully you all have a clue about the Olympics. And raise your hand, give me a little clap or something if you watched the opening ceremonies, if you had The World Center just became London, England for the next 2 weeks. And all of the world, internet, TV, radio, apps, every kind of reason and way that people can be focused on what's going on in London for the next 2 weeks, all kinds of ways are possible. As we watch and as the Olympics happen over the next 2 weeks, I'm excited. I grew up in I had a little Olympics in my own hometown. I don't know if you didn't hear about it, I'm sure. You might have had your own, at your elementary school, your own field day. Anybody have a field day when they were? It's towards the end of the year. You've worked hard. You've been in your school all year, the classroom. And right when it gets about hot and summery, it's time to go outside for a full day. And there's no homework assigned. It's just go outside and you compete. The whole school kind of gets outside and competes against each other in various things. And for my school, it was interesting because they had, running, 100-meter dashes, and jumping and flexibility things. And I was always very good at the softball throw. I played baseball. I knew how to throw a ball. That was ball, throw, good. And there was this activity. It's not a sport. For some reason, we competed against each other in it. But they would take us out near where the jungle gym is. And they would set, if you needed a step, you could get to it, but they would set us hanging, like from our hands, from the bar on the jungle gym, and it would be a timed event. See how long you could hold on to that thing. And so I really never had success in this area. I could go a little while, 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, but after a while, people start falling off. And now I had a friend, Jay, who was awesome at the dangling sport of the hanging from the bar thing. And they would have to say, okay, Jay, you win, come down. We've got to go do something else. And it was neat, and it was also weird. Like, how do you do that? How do you hold on for so long? Well, Jay only weighed like 50 pounds. So if Jay wasn't holding on to something, he was going to blow away. So he had learned, or he knew that was kind of his thing. And, at the end, again, maybe you didn't have this maybe in your elementary school, but in mine it was, and at the end of the day, they would get us all together back in the room and, everybody get some water or whatever, and they would begin to award the prizes. And there were ribbons, and there was first place, second place, third place. And it was really neat because you got to see who was good at different things. They would call you up, and if you got to win a first, second, or third place in that event, then everybody got to see that you have a clue. You're good at this thing. And I had a few softball throw ribbons, but I don't have any hanging from the bar ribbons, which is okay. That's fine. I need to call Jay now that we've had this conversation and say, hey, let's go out to the park and throw a softball. He's just going to want to hang from the bar. But, this week is the beginning of the 2 weeks of the 30th Olympiad, the Olympics that will be in for 2012, the Summer Olympics. Now, I had my own little Olympics, but this is like the peak of competition. 204 countries from across, actually 204 countries, and then one group of, I think there's 4 individual athletes that are independent because somehow their country dissolved, or do you put vinegar on it? How do you dissolve a country? So there's 204 and that little independent thing that have sent their best to London to compete. So 204 countries competing in 302 medaling events. There's actually about 26 sports. There's about 39 different disciplines among the sports, but generally they will hand out a gold medal about 302 times. So gold, silver, bronze, that's 3 medals per award ceremony, so that's about 906, if my math is right, times that they will play the national anthem of someone for having won. Well, To backtrack just a second, I haven't given this number yet, but there's 10,500 athletes that have gone to the Olympics. 10,500 athletes that are the best the world has to offer at whatever that particular sport is. Just by being invited to the Olympics, you are considered one of the best ever. The ultimate cream rising to the top, right? I may think I'm good at any of these sports that they're going to have at the Olympics, but I'm not one of the 10,500 top best that's available. Well, by just being in the Olympics, I'm not going to say you've won, but there's certain accolades that come. I mean, your home country's going to love you. You're going to be able to sell sandwiches and gum and Visa and stuff like that if you've even just made it to the Olympics. But to get to that place where you win, to be on a podium, to have earned a medal, there's some individual victory there. The individual gets to take the gold medal home. I'm not going to get into the conversation, and Brian White spoke about it last week. He totally set it on a tee for me about, I also don't believe everyone deserves a trophy, but the top, first, second, third, they get there. But then also the prize is the national anthem, because these people are fighting for their country. They want individual, they want their individual medal, yes, but as a whole, they're fighting to get their country's anthem played so that the world will respect and notice and stop for just a minute. We all have to be quiet and listen to that national anthem as it's being played. Now, I want to introduce a few athletes to you, talking about individuals. This is Ruslan Albagov. He is 24 years old, 344-pound weightlifter from Russia. He also has a law degree from Gorsky Mountain State Agriculture University. I don't mean to laugh, but he has a law degree. From Vladikavkaz, Russia, wherever that is. That's where the university is. His sport is kind of simple. Lift more weight than anybody else, right? Next we have Caroline Buchanan. I'm not sure what she looks like under that helmet, but she is a 24-year-old Australian BMX rider. Her sport is also simple to define. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple to define. You ride a bike over dirt hills faster than anybody else. Next, we have Usain Bolt. I like this guy's name. He was born to do what he's doing. 25 years old, from Jamaica. He stands at 6 foot, 5 inches tall, weighs 205 pounds. This dude, 4 years ago in China, was the fastest man. He ran the 100 meters in 9.68 seconds. I don't wake up in 9.68 seconds. This is, let's see, next we have two pictures for the following. Her name is Shino Yamanaka, a 21-year-old Japanese woman weighing in at 93 pounds, okay? But she competes in modern pentathlon. If you've never heard of that, there's 5 sports in modern pentathlon. There's, and I have to read them to make sure, fencing, swimming, horse riding, shooting, and running. And it sounds like the Escape from Alcatraz type of sport, right? These are all the tools I'm going to need to get away. But the goal of her sport, just like the rest of them, is to do something bigger, faster, stronger, or, better than the rest of your people, and then you'll win gold medal. Next, Jonas Lindgren, Joonas, I believe that's Jonas Lindgren, from Finland. He is the one in the back of the boat. Jonas is 26. He stands 5'7" and weighs about 140 pounds. Now the next guy is kind of my favorite of the bunch. Juan Ignacio Serra, a 35-year-old, 220-pound hammer thrower from Argentina. I like this guy because he is a man's man. To look at him, I bet he shaves 3 times before lunch. Like his entire diet consists of food he catches with his bare hands. He is he doesn't even talk, he just All right, the next one you might have seen before. I'd like to introduce you to a guy named LeBron James, 27 years old, 250 pounds, 6 foot, 9 inches tall. He and his buddies are kind of good at basketball. So they're going to go see what they can do about getting the gold medal in London. And next, in a little purple thing, Luisa Galiluna from Uzbekistan. That's why I can't say her last name. She stands 4'9" tall, and her weight is not even posted on the Olympic website because I don't think she'll register on the scale of how small she is. Now, of these athletes, there are various body types, right? Various sizes, weights. All of these people that I've shown you are Olympians in their own sport. That little 4'9" gymnast would have very little chance against LeBron James at his sport, right? Or even the Russian weightlifter. But LeBron James and the Russian weightlifter would break just about any apparatus in the gymnasium when they went to do gymnastics. Shino Yamanaka, the Japanese lady who does the the pentathlon, would really have no chance throwing a hammer against Juan Ignacio Serra. She weighs 93 pounds. But she could shoot him, run over him with her horse. She could outswim him. Now, how do you think these people got so good at their sports? Training, lots of hard work, a lifetime of dedication. Yes, I'm down with that. Maybe some financial backing. Maybe their mom or dad looked at them when they were little and said, genetically, and that's kind of the direction I'm going with, that maybe you should be over in this certain type of sport, because they have a lot more in their history than just hard work or money or backing, to get them there. These people have been given gifts that they were born with. That's the only reason that they are even able to play. Maybe it's their size. Maybe it's their hand-eye coordination. Maybe it's their just general IQ. Some of these sports take quite a bit of brain power, while some are just lifting and throwing. Although, don't forget, our Russian weightlifter has a law degree. Each of these people individually, the stories are fun individually, but again, each of them are where they're supposed to be because they were born for that. Hard work, dedication, money got them there, but they were born to be whatever it is that they're going to be this weekend. And I don't even know if these that I've shown you are the contenders. I went for good story. You may never even hear from them. They may not even make the TV coverage. I don't know. But they are each fighting for their team or their country. Each of these people come from a nation, and they're trying their best to win, to earn their gold, silver, or bronze, or actually they're just trying to compete and do the best they can to further the name of their country. Everybody in this room had heard of LeBron James, I hope, unless you have been under a big, thick rock that rests right on your head. Has anybody ever heard of Richard Fellers? No, the answer is no. You don't. Richard Fellers is a 6-foot-tall, 52-year-old man who was the first American to win in 25 years to win his World Cup for his sport of equestrian. The athlete in this photo is actually named Flexible. He's riding on the athlete. And both are way less famous than LeBron. But both are equally as Olympian. These Olympians, every one of them, 10,500 Olympians, the cream of the crop that have been sent to London to fight for their nation and to fight individually, are not just fighting for the name on the back of their jersey. They are all fighting for the name on the front. Team USA, Russia, Spain, France, wherever they're from, that's their nation pride. That's the reason they're giving their all this week. They're using what they've been born to do for the greater good. Now, I don't know if we have any Olympians in this room. If we do, come see me afterwards. I'm interested in hearing your side of the story. But each of us in this room are on a team, or two teams, or multiple teams. I mean, you work with somebody, you go to school with some people that are your team. You have a family that is a team. If it's not working like a team, that's a whole other topic for a whole other Sunday, but your family needs to be running like a team. And where you sit right now, in your church, you're in a team. And I'm not really even specifically talking about the physical space where we're sitting. I'm talking about the Jesus team, just nationwide, worldwide, the Jesus team church. We are all on those teams. And, what I want to talk about here is that we are all on our team to do a specific thing. Now, every team that I've ever had needs a coach. I've coached some teams. I'm actually a very good coach. If anybody ever has, a need that a couple $1 million is all it would cost you, and I will come and coach whatever your handball. I want to start a I'm excited about handball after watching just 6 games of it yesterday. Handball, I've never even heard of handball, but it's an amazing sport, and I'm going to start one, and I'll coach you if you want to be on our team. $2 million. We've gone over that. But every good team needs a coach. And a coach's job is to remind of the fundamentals, and the coach's job is to, spur you on. And a coach is part of the path of the athlete actually getting to the place. Now, I've had coaches in my life that have been helpful. I've had coaches in my life that, I'm not going to say they were hurtful, but they were maybe less than knowledgeable about the sport that they talked about. And, as I stand here and talk about our Jesus team, and I want to tell you who our coach is. I want to explain to you or make the analogy that the Apostle Paul is a pretty good coach. He wrote letters that had to do with spurring on and reminding us after Jesus about God's love and about Jesus, that after Jesus had lived and died on the cross and until he comes again, and Paul's letters, he wrote most of the New Testament, are to remind us and to keep us on track. Now, I can look at, today we're going to look at 1 Corinthians, his letter to the people of Corinth. But I stood here about a month ago and talked about his letter to the Romans. Also good to be reminded of that kind of thing. Now, before I talk about this, and what I want you to hear, and I want you to hear as we talk about 1 Corinthians, I want you to hear that Paul says we each have an individual purpose on our team. And before I'm about to jump into the verse, if you have a piece of paper and your program and your pencil, I'm a high school or a youth leader. I have a hard time turning out a program or a linear piece of. A lot of times a question from the peanut gallery will get us off track when we're talking in our youth room. And so having a goal, having a program doesn't always do a lot of help. So today, rather than coming up with a list of blanks to fill out, I've just given you all the information. Okay? And then what we're going to do, hopefully you still have a pen or a pencil because I'm going to have you underline some things. And then at the very, very top in the space right now before we even get started, here's a test. I want you to draw a straight line, make a little blank, and write something that you think you're good at. You got 4 seconds to do it. First thing that comes to your mind. It could be, math. It could be, whatever. Something that you think you're good at. It could be weightlifting. It could be compassion. Just anything. All right, we're going to look in 1 Corinthians 12. Actually, the related scripture is verses 1 through 31, but we're going to pick up in verse 4. Various gifts are handed out everywhere. Okay, stop there. All right, we're talking about gifts. That means it's Christmas or birthday. Somebody get all the trash bags ready because we're going to make a mess of all the wrapping paper because we're talking about the gifts that we're about to get. Various gifts are handed out everywhere, but they all originate in God's Spirit. God's various ministries are carried out everywhere, but they all originate in God's Spirit. God's various expressions of power are in action everywhere, but God himself is behind it all. Okay, good. Wait. God doesn't have to waste time with that little sticker that says to and from. It's to us, it's from him, okay, on the gifts that we're getting. Start underlining. Each person is given something to do that shows who God is. Underline that, circle it, star it, whatever you want to do. Each person is given something to do that shows who God is. Each of us are given a role or an action or a mission. And in that, it's supposed to show who God is. We're supposed to do it to the point that we show who God is. Now, everyone gets in on it. Everyone benefits. All kinds of things are handed out by the Spirit and to all kinds of people. The variety is wonderful. Now, and Paul gives a list of spiritual gifts there, but our list in this room of spiritual gifts are that list of words that you just wrote down. You wrote down something that you think you're good at. It could be playing with Legos, whatever it is that you think you're good at. If I took those up, and I'm not gonna, but if I took those up and made that list, that's our list in this room of spiritual gifts, okay? All these gifts have a common origin. All are handed out one by one Spirit of God. He decides who gets what and when. It's that when part that's also kind of crazy. I mean, maybe I'm not born with a spiritual gift. Maybe I get it somewhere in life. Maybe I face a tragedy or a triumph that I then change how my life is changed, or in some way, my direction, my path, something changes. And that's what when means here. When means maybe later on in my life I face something that changes what my mission is, that maybe he's given me a spiritual gift later on. I want to give you a chance to edit that thing that you wrote at the top of the page. If you need to, cross it out. Now that we're talking, that if I'm taking this entire room, if I were to take your paperwork afterwards, I want to have a pretty good list of spiritual gifts. So now, if your answer was something like, playing with Legos, cross that out and take a minute. Take actually literally 2 seconds and write down a thing that you think God has touched you on the shoulder and said, this is your spiritual gift. You might have been born with it. You might have just now recently come across some tragedy in your life that you feel is now your mission. Now, this is the part where Paul begins to talk to us like we're on a team. He's really starting to begin to be like a coach now. In verse 12, you can easily enough see how this kind of thing works by looking no further than your own body. Your body has many parts, limbs, organs, cells. But no matter how many parts you can name, you're still one body. Underline that part. You're still one body. It's exactly the same with Christ. I like this analogy. My analogy is about a team. His analogy is about a body. But the point is that we're all connected. And that just like a body that has all the parts, all the pinkies and the fingers and the hairs and the, and the toes and all the parts that add up to what makes a body. It's his analogy to say each of us are important in making the bigger thing roll. Because in verse 14, I want you to think about how all of this makes you more significant, not less. That's where I want you to underline. This makes you more significant, not less. I love things that make me more significant. I love when someone comes and looks right at me and says, hey, I need you to do something. I'm significant. This is for me. I don't like it when someone comes in and asks the next, I hate it when I'm the last one picked at kickball, right? No one likes to be less significant. Everybody's after that. I want to be more significant. And what I'm talking about here today makes each one of us more significant. As for many of us, I think it may be even hard because sometimes we want to call our own shot when it comes to our spiritual gift. My spiritual gift may be singing, and none of you have a clue because I'm not sharing that with you. If your spiritual gift is something that God gave you, and you're using something that you want to lift up that maybe not, that's maybe even a different conversation for a different day, but it's hard for some, I believe, to follow God's plan for them in this direction when they're maybe trying to lift some other part up that maybe isn't a spiritual gift, or maybe they're not using the thing God has given them. Maybe they're keeping it hidden away so that no one knows their vocal ability or their gardening ability. If you have the ability to build a garden, you make a garden. We have some people in our church family that have done that over the past few months, and I think that is awesome. And how special it is. Because really, it's planting a seed and loving on some ground, but it's a spiritual gift to get people together, right? And maybe they weren't born with that gift of gardening. I have a green thumb, I don't know. But in a time when people needed to get together, what do you look and go, okay, I have this land, let's plant something and love on it together. And now my Facebook page is full of pictures of different stuff growing from our awesome gathering garden. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, get connected and come around because that's a pretty cool connection way at this church. But The body isn't just a single part blown up into something huge. It's all the different similar parts arranged and functioning together. If the foot said, I'm not elegant like the hand, embellished with rings, I guess I don't belong to this body. Would that make it so? If the ear said, I'm not beautiful like the eye, limpid and expressive, I don't deserve a place in the head, would you want to remove it from the body? No. A very wise man said, I have a standing, I have a calling, I have a purpose, I have a mission, and I have a ministry. And this is where that starts, at your spiritual gift. In verse 25, the way God designed our bodies is a model for understanding our lives together as a church. If one part hurts, another part is involved in the hurt and in the healing. We've experienced that. If one part flourishes, every other part enters that exuberance. We've experienced that. You are Christ's body. That's who you are. You must never forget this and begin underlining here. Only as you accept your part of the body does your part mean anything. Richard Fellers, the equestrian, is no less an Olympian than LeBron James. They are both Olympians, but they each need to do their part. Spiritual gift-wise, we have people who sing, we have people who lead, we have people who push road cases, we have people who hold babies. Every part is as important as the next. But only as you accept your part of the body does your part mean anything. I love the topic that came. Aaron and I were talking about the topic for this talk the other day, and we were like, what's a good back and, we were just kind of throwing some stuff out, and don't be a 6'9" gymnast came up. And I don't think it was Aaron, I don't think it was me, I think it was God that said, talk about it that way. Because if you're 6'9", you're not a gymnast. Agreed? If your special gift is teaching sixth graders, then why are you doing, something else? If your special ability is growing a garden, then why are you wasting your time doing anything else? Grow a garden. And on the other hand, like I spoke about just a second ago, if you have a spiritual gift that you feel that God has touched you on the shoulder and said, you are this, and you're not using it, how wasteful. Because as we talked about earlier in the verse, each one of us is given something to do that shows who God is. The point of our spiritual gift is not to make us famous, wealthy, happy, or any of it. It's to further his kingdom, right? The whole goal here, the whole reason that God would give any one of us a spiritual gift is because he wants us to use that to further his name. And so if you've been given a spiritual gift, if you know in your heart, and I keep going, and I don't know why, maybe there's somebody in this room that's about music or whatever, but if your spiritual gift, if you sing like an angel, bring it. Quit keeping it to yourself. If your spiritual gift is leading, speaking, pushing, doing, whatever, financial, whatever your thing is, if you keep it to yourself, you're not showing anybody who God is through your spiritual gift. I'd like to introduce you to one more athlete. Now, I'm going to read this directly from the USA Paralympic website. I would like to introduce you to Alexis Gillette. As a totally blind track and field athlete, Lex has acquired a world record, 2 Paralympic silver medals, 8 American records, and 12 national championships. The only piece missing is a Paralympic gold medal, which he hopes to attain in the 2012 London Paralympic Games. Gillette was born with visual impairment, and his life took a turn when he was 8 years old. His vision began to fade due to recurrent retinal detachments. After 10 operations, his vision still couldn't be stabilized and was told that he would eventually go completely blind. Gillette was introduced to track and field in high school. One of his high school teachers in a visually impaired program noticed his athleticism and explosiveness and got him to attend a camp in Michigan for people with disabilities. Once he got back from the camp, Gillette joined his high school track and field team, and his athletic career took off from there. Gillette first stepped into the Paralympic scene at 19 years old and won a silver medal in the long jump in 2004 Paralympic Games in Athens. In May of 2011, Gillette reached another milestone. At a Desert Challenge Games in Mesa, Arizona, he broke a 19-year-old record. For the long jump for totally blind athletes, he soared 6.73 meters. Blind man jumped 6.73 meters. He broke the world record. Following that accomplishment, Gillette was awarded United States Olympic Committee Male Athlete of the Month. Let me read that again. Gillette was awarded United States Olympic, not Paralympic, Olympic Committee Athlete of the Month. And here's the best part. Through his Christian faith, he believes God is allowing him to serve as an example to the world that there is no task that is too difficult. As an athlete, motivational speaker, singer, songwriter, Gillette exemplifies the phrase, "No need for sight when you have vision." So, yep. Alexis Gillette cannot compete with Usain Bolt. They're not in the same track. They're not even in London on the same week. Usain Bolt is this week during the Olympics, and then the Paralympics begin afterwards, and that's when Alexis Gillette will go for his thing. But they're both fighting for the name on the front of their shirt. They're both doing whatever they can for, yes, they're bringing some individual accolades to the table, but they're both fighting to get their national anthem played. If I forced you, if I brought in the Japanese female with the gun and forced you to pick a sport or a part to play in the Olympics for Team USA, would you select gymnastics, swimming, track, the fun, famous ones? Or would you say, you know what, I'm pretty good with horses. We've got an equestrian team. Or even better, if you realized, I'm not good enough to play on the team, but somebody needs a coach, somebody needs their food prepared, somebody needs them to drive the bus, somebody needs them to make sure their uniforms fit right, which Tommy Hilfiger did, and that's a whole other conversation. If I forced you to use your spiritual gift, where would you use it? I mean, that thing you wrote, I even allowed you to edit it. If you need to edit it again, go for it. But if I made you use your spiritual gift right now, get up and go do it, even if it's not within the walls of this building, do you know where you would use that? Maybe you already are. Maybe you do it every day. Maybe you are already in tune with your spiritual gift and you are showing others who God is through your actions. But if you're not doing whatever it is that thing is, if you wrote down the answer is golf, and maybe that's the best thing you are at, your best attribute is golf. Well, go to my youth group and teach them all how to play golf. If you couldn't think of something, if you left that spot blank, if you're still working on it, that's okay too. If you're still unsure maybe what your spiritual gift is, draw another blank. You can talk with God this week. The two of you can work together on coming up with what that is. But if I can be so bold as to say, there are some things on the left side of your program. There are 6 things there. They're not specifically recruitment things. I'm just saying every week in this program, there's stuff that's the current event of this church. Some reach inside the building, some reach way outside the building. Some are just giving you current events. Some are actually asking for your time. And this is not a recruitment Sunday. I'm not trying to really up any numbers, although my information is on one of those. But if you're not sure where or what your spiritual gift is, and some of you are just counting 5 on the left side of the program. There's 6. There's those numbers at the bottom. You might be given something from God to help one of those 6. Circle it. I'm not asking for 80 years of your time. I'm saying if there's some way that you can give your spiritual gift to help any one of those things, or next week, or the next week, or the next week, when you open this program, and from now on, when you open it up and you look at the left side, pick one. Circle it. do something with your spiritual gift to help something on that left side of the program. That way we're showing, all of us are showing who God is through what we're doing and through what we've been given. A friend of mine has recently gone through a tragedy. That is now her mission. It's not a spiritual gift. I'm not talking about a spiritual gift, although understanding, compassion, faith, time, all of these are now her spiritual gifts. And that is now her standing. That is now her mission. And I believe for the rest of her life, she will give her time and her energy and whatever she's been given from God to love on others who are facing that tragedy. Yay, God. Hopefully, most of us aren't dealing with anything near heavy, near tragedy. Most of us, maybe our spiritual gift is about, like going back to the singing thing or golf or something simple. But some of you may be facing something right now, some tug on your heart that's like, God's trying to get you to use that spiritual gift because, you know what, it's not about you. It's not about your gold medal. Because for everyone that enters the kingdom of heaven and the angels sing, that's the anthem playing. And that's the victory for the home team. Do your part. Figure out whatever your spiritual gift is. Use it. Learn how to use it. You don't have to have it mastered just yet. The goal is attempting. The goal is starting. Just figuring out what it is and beginning to head in that direction. Starting today. Let's pray. Lord God, thank you so much for this day, for the room and the space and the time to just be with you and talk to you and with these people and just figure out what you have for us. And that you've given us gifts, whether at birth or in our life, that are specifically for us. That you've given us each something to do to show others who you are. I ask that you would speak into the lives of each person in this room, each person on the internet listening, everybody that's downloaded in a podcast in the future, that would stop right now and consider, what is your spiritual gift? What is something that we can use to just love on you, God? I ask that you continue to love on us and bless us. I'm so thankful that you've sent your son, that we know without a doubt what our efforts are for. We thank you and we love you in Jesus' name. Amen. Rock on. Thank you.